So there's another very interesting development in the evidence around that hill, particularly not only the evidence of Liberty Island and the Statue of Liberty events, sort of all seeming to follow perfectly after this Chas Hopkirk book was published, but also that Octavia Hill attribution for green belt, a green belt of land, a circle of trees that originated this term. There are some other hill forts with rings of trees round some of them, right? Some of them were planted. We know who planted some of them. The particular ring of trees around ours, we don't know how long they've been there and who planted them, or how they came to be there, whether it was natural or not. Some of the sites, there weren't any around them, and some landowners planted them there to protect them, right? But regardless of exactly which one, ours is one of them. And there is a very serious issue around the fact that, it was all fields. And it did get some attention, obviously, when they built the tram out there. Now, in Google, in Wikipedia, the information is that the coining of the term, or the conjuring up of the term, is attributed to this Octavia Hill. But I know it's a person, right? But that person only is attributed to the idea shortly after the Chas Hopkirk book as well. Whether or not she read it or not, or whether or not it really was attributed to her, it might have been an idea that people have been throwing around after they've been visiting places, right? But the word's hill, so I mean, it gestures towards the hills, which are the hill forts, of which there are many, but it's still Octavia Hill. I'll be interested to learn more about this person. But the thing is, with Octavia Hill, it seems to add geometric or non-natural forms to the hill. I mean, who is called Octavia Hill? I mean, it's a rare name anyway, isn't it, Now, I know that Queen Elizabeth knew about our ancient site and knew the importance of it, even from an early age, right? And we've got that photograph of George signing that book at the Imperial Chemical Industries, right? Now, I truly believe that they're all over it and they knew all about it, which is why it got built on. And there's something to do with the date of, 1954-ish. It's around the Queen's coronation. It's around that time. Not unlike, really, 1950s and 60s. It's not that long then. You're going into Coronation Street popping up, which I think... It's like Coronation Street. Why do you need a street for a coronation? There's something to do with this processionary avenue, or line. I mean, like you look at Avebury, you've got the avenue at Avebury, right? There's that strip that goes from where the river used to be to that place as well. It's almost like when the railway line went out there, when the tram line went out there. There's certain symbology in it. The fact that the county of Middlesex is also right down south, but yet this site, it is very, very feminine looking and very feminine shaped in the valley. Not unlike Glenjury Dolmen. See, I didn't even know about Glenjury Dolmen, but it's in that crack, and it's definitely got this like female symbology to it when you look at it on Google Maps. And then this pops up. I was searching. I saw this picture of like a large envelope on the internet, And I was thinking about the painting that I've done, and then I suddenly thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if that was on a stamp? I thought it would make a brilliant stamp, really. But there's so much detail in it that I made it to the size of a stamp, and you can't really see it. I can't on my mobile phone because the pixels are actually quite decent on the mobile phone, and it's lit up. But if it was printed out, I don't think you'd quite be able to make out the details on it. But if you have it around 4-inch wide, you can appreciate the detail when it's about 4-inch. So that's interesting. And then I suddenly thought, I wonder how many big stamps have been made. I mean, I wonder if you can actually have really big stamps. And actually you can. And in fact, funnily enough, it's this, not this stamp we're looking at, not this very stamp we're looking at, but that red hexagon, the biggest stamp in the world for a long time was that design we're looking at now in the centre of this, that hexagon, the hexagon one, right? Until more recently, when they did like a really massive one, like 1.7 metre wide and a ridiculously big stamp, which seems a bit silly, but it's in the Guinness Book of Records. I think that might actually feature something on it. But so there's this I mean, who's ever... I mean, in all my life, I've never really thought of, the octagon. But now I'm just realising the 50p... Well, the 50p's slightly different, isn't it? It's more like it sort of like reminds you of the Pentagon building in America, the 50p, but it's definitely not octagon, pentagon, is it? But it's that, that shape of you get into that sort of shape, but there's some symbology and significance of something to do with the Queen, with this octagonal sort of shape. And I don't think that's a coincidence that whether it was Octavia Hill who came up with the term or not, whatever she's attributed to it, they're claiming that it was her. There's something in that. But the thing is, Octavia Hill, right, lives out where it's flat, sort of in the area of the country, more like Sandringham. Sandringham area where the Queen goes on holiday. Sandringham, it's meant to be a royal attributed area, right? But it's flat. So you don't really think of any hills, although there are 1 or 2 burial mounds attributed out there, but it's not a hilly area of the country. It's a very flat area of the country. So it's, almost like taking the attention away from it. I won't mind it, but these are like it's quite important, this, when they've got it on the biggest stamp. Because like that mound is like 40 metres high, which is quite high for those type of sites. Like, it's way higher than Old Oswestry, for example. So it's very, very interesting. And the thing is, this actually is on a postcard. And on the postcard, the design of it is by the Silver Jubilee of the Queen's accession, reproduced from a stamp by a Professor Guyat, and issued by the Post Office, which is quite ridiculous. That is just mad. So I think there's something, a ring of a circle of tree, and then what happened? The thing is, in 1954, when those houses were built, it's also around that time when they start using it in local councils for Greenbelt, but they use it for a protected area that you're not allowed to build in. That's protected, and ironically, that mound that hill that's actually got this ring of trees around it gets built on. Quite the contrary from being protected from being built on, you know. When it's got this ring of trees around it, it's quite... I don't think there's absolutely nothing in this at all. Why the importance of this octagon? I mean, they might attribute it to something else, but, you know. And not the biggest stamp in the world. It's worth noting anyway.